Isolation can become preparation for a greater purpose, though she may not see it yet. A woman who walks her journey with no friends often feels as though life has placed her aside, like a book left closed on a shelf, waiting. But what if waiting is not wasting? What if her season is like winter? Quiet, cold perhaps, but necessary for spring to bloom. In the unseen spaces of her solitude, something sacred is forming. Her heart, though heavy at times, is stretching to hold more compassion. Her mind, though burdened by silence, is sharpening to discern truth from noise. Every lonely evening, every quiet morning, every unanswered message or empty room becomes part of her shaping. She grows not under applause, but under the gentle pressure of becoming someone stronger. Sometimes she sits by the window and wonders why companionship seems to pass her by like travelers on a busy road. She might think herself forgotten, but she is being carved for something beyond ordinary. Great purpose rarely grows in crowds. It grows in the unseen, where character is built, where patience is nurtured, where faith is tested. When no hand reaches for hers, she learns to walk by inner conviction. When no voice calls her name, she listens for a deeper calling. When no friend sits beside her, she learns to converse with destiny itself. She becomes attentive to whispers others ignore. She begins to sense when to move, when to pause, when to speak, and when to simply be still. In isolation, she discovers endurance. Not the loud kind, but the steady heart that wakes each day and tries again. Resilience becomes her unseen crown. Pain becomes her teacher. Disappointment becomes her tutor. She learns that broken moments are not the end of her story, but the beginning of her rising. She learns to survive on hope when resources are scarce, on faith when answers are absent, on courage when comfort is unavailable. Her silence becomes soil, rich though undisturbed, preparing seeds that will one day burst through in ways even she will marvel at. She begins to understand timing. Not everything good arrives early. Not every friend appears when desired. Some blessings need maturity to hold them. Some relationships need a better version of her to thrive. She learns that what is delayed is not always denied. Waiting deepens her roots. Alone, she discovers who she must become before life introduces her to who she will walk with. She gathers tools for future seasons. Calmness for chaos, wisdom for confusion, discernment for choices, patience for love. She is not empty, she is in training. She is not lacking, she is preparing. The world sees absence, but heaven sees development. She starts to notice how solitude sharpens her senses. She hears her own conscience more clearly than most. She pays attention to the small nudges that guide her steps. She becomes perceptive, intuitive. She notices the emotional weather inside her, sees storms forming before they break, understands her triggers, and knows what hurts her soul and what heals it. She learns boundaries, not from conflict but from reflection. She understands who she wants to be and who she refuses to become. Isolation teaches her self-control, depth, awareness. She becomes the kind of woman who thinks before she reacts, chooses before she follows, builds before she begs. Sometimes she feels the ache, the desire for someone to call, someone to sit and talk without hurry. And yet, instead of breaking, she breathes. She allows the H to soften her rather than harden her. She learns tenderness through longing. She learns compassion through lack. She learns warmth because she knows cold. One day when someone lonely sits beside her, she will not merely sympathize. She will understand. Her scars will speak to theirs. Her story will become shelter for another wandering heart. Isolation also reveals her gifts. In quiet she might draw, write, dream, create. She begins things simply to express the voice inside her that no one hears. She might start journaling, painting, praying, learning skills no one applauds. She might read books that expand her mind beyond her surroundings. She might build a business idea in silence, plan a future others can't see yet. She might heal childhood wounds she never addressed while surrounded by distraction. She might discover talents hidden beneath years of noise. What thrives in solitude often surprises even the one who holds it. She grows in responsibility. With no one to rely on, she learns to rely on herself. She becomes excellent in tasks, strong in crisis, calm under pressure. She manages her emotions, her finances, her environment. She becomes resourceful, independent, wise. She learns how to comfort herself, how to plan her life, how to solve problems others panic over. She handles seasons alone that some could not handle with crowds. She becomes someone capable, someone steady, someone prepared for more than ordinary companionship. One day when purpose calls, she will find she is ready. Her voice will hold authority because it was forged in silence. Her presence will carry peace because she learned to calm storms within. Her advice will have weight because she lived what she speaks. People will seek her not because she needs them, but because she has become someone valuable to know. She will walk into rooms not hoping to be chosen, but knowing she belongs. She will speak not to impress, but to illuminate. Her life will help others because she took time to understand herself. It is in isolation she learns to walk with the unseen, trust what she cannot yet touch, dream of what she has not yet lived. She learns to believe in seasons she has never seen bloom. She becomes visionary, not for crowds, but for calling. She senses that there is more to her than anyone knows. More strength, more story, more purpose. She holds herself like a promise. She steps lightly but surely, knowing that every lonely chapter is leading to something meaningful. What feels like separation today may become elevation tomorrow. Doors she thought were closed might open when she is prepared to walk through them. People she longed for might enter her life when she no longer fears being without them. Friendships may find her when she is no longer desperate for them. Love may recognize her when she is already whole. Her dreams may unfold when she carries maturity to sustain them. She will realize that her waiting was never empty. It was preparing her hands, her heart, her character for greater things. She is like a seed underground, unseen, covered, silent. But growth is happening in roots first. No one claps for roots, yet without them there is no tree, no shade, no fruit, no future. In time she will rise. She will blossom. She will look back on days of solitude with gratitude instead of sorrow. She will see that she was not alone. She was being shaped, strengthened, refined. Preparation is often misunderstood, especially by the one being prepared. Isolation is not the absence of destiny. It is the workshop of it. Her worth does not decrease because she stands alone. The world may try to convince her otherwise. It praises numbers, followers, friends, invitations, conversations, as if quantity were proof of value. But a woman with no friends is not diminished. She is simply not surrounded. There is a difference. Gold remains gold even when buried. A diamond is precious even before discovered. The sun is still the sun, even on a cloudy day when no eye can see it. So too is she. Her beauty, her heart, her mind, her potential. None of it lessens because no one is applauding. She carries value that does not shrink in silence. She carries dignity no absence can erase. Her worth is not a product of attention, but of existence. When she walks into a room and no voice greets her, the world might whisper, she is alone. But her soul knows a deeper truth. She is whole. People may overlook her, but that does not make her invisible. Attention is not the measure of importance. Noise is not the measure of presence. She might sit quietly in a corner while others gather in circles. Yet the strength she carries within could move mountains if needed. She might read a book while others trade stories, but the knowledge she collects may one day change someone's life. She may cry into her pillow at night because no one checked on her, but the tears she wipes herself build resilience no comforter could have taught. Her silence is not emptiness, it is depth. There will be moments she doubts her value, moments when she wonders if something is wrong with her, because friendships have not grown like flowers around her feet. But not every garden blooms at the same time. Some flowers are early, some bloom in summer, some wait for rain, some rise only under a moonlit sky. She is one who blooms differently. Her season may be later, but it may also be richer. She does not need a crowd to prove she matters. Her breath is purpose. Her life is reason. Even if no one sees her greatness now, Life does not require witnesses to be meaningful. Trees grow tall in forests unseen. Stars burn for centuries before astronomers find them. Oceans exist in majesty without applause. Value is not dependent on audience. She may scroll through pictures of others surrounded by friends and feel the ache of comparison. But comparison steals joy by making someone else's chapter the standard of her own. She forgets that her story is unique, crafted with details that cannot be replaced. She does not need to be like them. She needs only to be herself. And herself is more than enough. Worth is not measured in gatherings, but in goodness. Not in company, but in character. She might not have many to call her friend, but she may have integrity that others envy. She may speak less, but speak truth. She may love quietly, but love deeply. She may have walked alone, but she walked with courage. It takes bravery to face life without a circle, to celebrate achievements with no one clapping, to endure heartbreak with no one holding her, to make decisions without others guiding. Yet she continues, yet she wakes, yet she hopes. That alone is proof of strength. Some people walk long distances only because someone else is beside them. But she walks because she must, and that kind of persistence is rare. Rare things are valuable, so is she. Her worth is not negotiable, not with time, not with loneliness, not with rejection. She is valuable on days when she feels powerful and on days she feels broken. She is worthy when she succeeds and worthy when she fails. She is enough when she is surrounded and enough when she is not. There is a quiet confidence that grows when she stops seeking validation from others and finds it within. She begins to look in the mirror not for flaws, but for evidence of survival. She sees a woman who has endured storms, carried burdens, survived disappointments. She sees scars, not as shame, but as proof that she lived, healed, and continued. In time she realizes that being without friends can protect her from wrong voices. Not all company is good company. Some friendships drain rather than fill. Some distract rather than uplift. Some wound rather than heal. Maybe life kept certain people from her not to deprive her, but to preserve her. To guard her heart from betrayal she is too tender to withstand. To save her from small circles that would limit her. To keep her path clear for a destiny too big for casual connections. She may not see it now, but solitude may be a shield as much as it is a season. She is learning that her worth does not come from being chosen, but from being herself. She does not need to chase belonging. She will meet people who value her naturally. When the time is right, people who understand her silence without offense. People who feel peace in her presence. People who do not need her to shrink to fit. People who love her not for what she gives, but for who she is. The kind of friendship she deserves are worth waiting for. Deep roots take time. Meaningful bonds are forged slowly. She is not behind. She is becoming. Until then, she carries her worth like a lantern. It lights her path even when no one sees. It reminds her that she is enough even when she doubts. It guides her through nights of loneliness, making her glow from within. And that glow is not dependent on audience. Even one flame in darkness is beautiful. Even one heart in silence is significant. Her life has purpose beyond what she feels today. She may seem alone, but she is surrounded by possibility. She may seem quiet, but her future holds volume. She may walk slowly, but she walks surely. She is a woman with no friends. Not because she is unworthy, but because she is still unfolding. Her worth is constant. Her value is truth. Her presence is meaningful. She is not defined by absence, but by existence. She is enough.
There is a truth that separates those who walk by sight from those who walk by faith, and it is this: obedience was never designed to wait for explanation, because the moment you fully understand, obedience loses its power to test trust. The chosen are not distinguished by what they know, but by what they obey before they know it. Throughout sacred history, the greatest acts of preservation were preceded by instructions that made little sense in the natural, commands that seemed unreasonable, inconvenient, even illogical, yet carried within them the key to survival. Abraham was told to leave without being told where he was going. Moses was told to stretch a rod toward an impossible sea. Joshua was told to march silently around fortified walls, and none of them were given full explanations, only directions. This is because God does not train His chosen to rely on information. He trains them to rely on His voice. When understanding becomes a requirement, obedience becomes conditional, and conditional obedience is delayed obedience. The chosen learn early that delay is costly because divine instruction often operates within narrow windows of time. There are moments when protection is available only through immediate compliance, moments when asking why becomes more dangerous than simply doing what is instructed. God speaks in layers, and the first layer is rarely clarity, it is command. Understanding follows obedience, not the other way around. When God says, "Do not leave your house," the instruction is not meant to be analyzed, debated, or spiritualized away. It is meant to be followed, because obedience itself activates covering. Many miss divine protection because they are waiting for peace instead of choosing trust, waiting for confirmation instead of recognizing authority. The chosen recognize the weight in the instruction, the gravity in the restraint, the urgency hidden in simplicity. They know that God does not waste words, and when He limits movement, He is securing destiny. Obedience before understanding humbles the intellect and elevates the spirit. It places God in His rightful position as sovereign and places the chosen in their rightful position as servants, not partners in negotiation. There are instructions that will never make sense until the danger has passed, and by then, explanation becomes irrelevant because preservation has already occurred. Those who obey without understanding are often spared without ever knowing from what, and this is by design, because faith is not built on evidence, but on trust in the unseen. God rarely reveals the threat, because revealing it would shift obedience from faith to fear, and fear-driven obedience does not transform the heart. The chosen are trained to obey because God said so, not because disaster was explained. This is why the warning feels quiet, personal, almost easy to dismiss, because God is watching who will treat His word as enough. Obedience before understanding separates the mature from the curious, the aligned from the distracted, the chosen from the crowd. It is an act of surrender that says, God knows what I do not, sees what I cannot, and understands what is hidden beyond my reach. In that surrender, protection is released. Heaven responds not to comprehension, but to compliance. The moment you obey, unseen forces shift, paths reroute, plans collapse, encounters dissolve, assignments are reassigned, danger searches for access and finds none. The chosen do not need to see the outcome to trust the instruction. They trust the instruction because they know the one who gave it. Obedience anchors them in safety while others drift into exposure. It keeps them still while chaos is permitted to move. It holds them back while events rearrange themselves beyond their walls. This kind of obedience is costly to pride but priceless to destiny. It requires letting go of control, releasing the need to explain your actions to others, accepting that some instructions will make you look foolish to those who do not hear what you hear. The chosen accept this cost willingly because they understand that obedience is not about appearance. It is about alignment. When you obey without understanding, you place yourself inside the will of God, and inside His will there is protection, timing, preservation, covering, positioning, safety, and purpose unfolding beyond human logic, beyond natural reasoning, beyond what can be explained, beyond what can be justified, beyond what can be proven, beyond what can be understood, beyond what can be seen, beyond what can be predicted, beyond what can be controlled, beyond what can be questioned, beyond what can be reversed, beyond what can be interrupted, beyond what can be stolen, beyond what can be touched, beyond what can be accessed, beyond what can be reached, beyond what can be altered, beyond what can be stopped, beyond what can be undone, beyond what can be comprehended, beyond. There is a quiet dividing line moving through the world, invisible to the natural eye, yet unmistakable to those who are spiritually awake, a separation not marked by status, knowledge, or appearance, but by awareness. The chosen are not removed from the world. They are distinguished within it by perception. While many move through life distracted, rushed, numbed by routine, the chosen move with an inner alertness, sensing shifts others overlook, discerning weight in moments others call ordinary. This separation is not arrogance. It is assignment. God is always separated before he moves, not to elevate some and discard others, but to preserve what must continue. In every generation, there have been those who hear beyond noise, who pause when others rush, who question atmospheres rather than just circumstances. When God issues a warning, it does not go out as a broadcast, it goes out as a whisper, because only the attentive will hear it. The distracted miss it not because it was hidden, but because their attention was elsewhere. This is how separation happens, not by force, but by focus. The chosen are separated by their willingness to listen when nothing dramatic is happening, to slow down when urgency seems demanded, to obey when obedience offers no visible reward. While others scroll, rush, argue, and consume, the chosen sense resistance in the spirit, a signal to stop, to remain, to stay put. They may not understand it, but they respect it. Distraction dulls discernment, and discernment is the currency of protection. Those who live constantly stimulated lose sensitivity to divine interruption, but the chosen guard their inner hearing, knowing that God often speaks in pauses, hesitations, checkings, and restraints. Separation also reveals itself in reactions. When instruction comes, the distracted debate, mock, rationalize, spiritualize it away, while the aware respond quietly, without announcement, without explanation, without needing agreement. They understand that not every instruction is meant to be shared, because revelation without assignment creates confusion. The chosen are comfortable being misunderstood because they value alignment over approval. This separation becomes more evident in moments of warning, when some feel compelled to move and others feel compelled to stay. Both feel something, but only one recognizes its source. The aware do not confuse anxiety with discernment. They recognize the calm authority in the instruction, the steadiness in the restraint, the peace that accompanies obedience, even when logic protests. God trusts the aware with subtlety because they will not abuse it. He knows they will not turn a whisper into spectacle or a warning into fear. They simply adjust, remain, reposition themselves under covering. Separation is also protection because danger looks for noise, visibility, movement, reaction. The chosen become difficult to locate because they are not where the crowd is, not doing what everyone else is doing, not chasing what is trending, not present where exposure is high. Their absence is their defense. Heaven often hides its most important vessels in plain sight, behind closed doors, in ordinary obedience, while events unfold elsewhere. The distracted interpret this as passivity, but it is precision. The aware understand that not every battle is fought by engagement, some are won by withdrawal. God separates the aware not to isolate them permanently, but to preserve them temporarily, to ensure that when the moment comes, they are still intact, still aligned, still hearing, still responsive. The world rewards constant motion, but heaven rewards correct positioning. Those who remain sensitive remain safe. Those who guard their awareness guard their destiny. As the separation deepens, it becomes clear that protection follows perception, that safety follows sensitivity, that preservation follows discernment, and that the simple ability to recognize when to stop, when to stay, when to be still, when to remain inside becomes the difference between exposure and covering, between collision and continuation, between loss and preservation, between interruption and fulfillment, between distraction and destiny, between moving with the crowd and moving with God, between noise and instruction, between urgency and obedience, between the seen and the unseen, between being present everywhere and being present where God has placed you, between being reachable and being hidden, between being active and being aligned, between being busy and being chosen, between being distracted and being aware, between leaving the house and staying under covering, between missing the moment and surviving it, between being everywhere and being exactly where you are meant to be, between moving forward blindly and remaining wisely, between exposure and protection, between chaos and preservation, between the crowd and the chosen, between those who did not notice and those who knew to remain, to stay, to wait, to listen, to be still, to be separated, to be aware, to be kept.